Welcome back to another episode of Let's Stay In.
I'm Anna, and this is Mark.
Now, before we get into today's episode, we got to give you that annoying reminder. Make sure you like, subscribe, download, comment. If there's a button, make sure you click it. Somehow, I think that helps us out.
With that being said, let's just jump right in.
Anyways, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, how we doing, Kendall? Welcome to the podcast.
Great, thanks. Glad to be here.
Thank
We're
you for
happy to
making
have
the
you.
journey here from Orange County.
Long time coming. We've been talking about this for a while.
There we go. Are you nervous? How we feeling?
A little bit, but this helps. So, you know.
Well,
Nature's medicine.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to be diving into all the uncomfortable subjects that you don't want to talk about today. So let's get into it.
That doesn't make me any less nervous.
Why do you not like your mom?
Yeah, right.
What's your relationship like with your
Yeah,
father?
right.
What's your least favorite thing about your ex-boyfriend?
Let's get deep.
Physically, about his looks.
Yeah.
Power
I'm glad
rank.
we're starting off, like on an easy one. Like, geez.
Let's power rank the worst sex you've ever had.
That'd actually be awesome.
It would go viral. It would not be awesome for the individual.
Yeah. I don't know if I could leave the house for a little while after.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Or people that applaud you.
Somebody texts you like, "Why did you rank me number 7? What about me was not 6
Yeah,
worthy?"
they're like, can you at least give me a detailed review so I have something to work on?
They're like, you told me you had sex with 6 people. Why am I ranked number 49?
About that.
I'm like,
The math isn't mathing.
Oh
Yeah,
man. Anywho, okay.
Do you want to tell us about yourself? That'd be cool.
Sure.
Yeah, give us like a 30-second intro. Let's say right now you're building out a Pilates studio and a workout studio in general. Let's say one of the contractors comes up to you. They're like, "Who are you? What's your story?" Give like your 30-second elevator pitch.
About the studio or about
Just
me
you in general?
general?
You in
Okay,
general.
okay,
This
cool.
contractor's nosy.
Also, I guess so. Jeez. Okay, yeah. I did social media marketing for corporate. Hated it, got laid off, and got into fitness and started teaching reformer Pilates, got certified in mat Pilates, and got my real estate license in September. And now I'm just following a dream. Everything kind of fell into place and opening a fitness studio. So trying to do it all, trying to get it all done and have fun while I'm doing it. So
There it is.
yeah.
You're an all-at-once person.
Oh yeah, if I'm not
noticing
doing
that.
100 things at one time, it's not gonna happen. Like, yeah, for sure.
Does it bother you? I've always wanted to ask a Pilates instructor this. Okay. Does it bother you that when people like people, I do this all the time. When people say that like Legree and Reformer are the same thing, that's just like Pilates when it's really not. But like, I'll just be like, I'm going to Pilates, and then somebody will be like, well, that's actually Legree.
It doesn't bother me, but I think it bothers other people. I taught Reformer, but I wouldn't say I was like passionate like about like Reformer. That's why my studio is mat Pilates. It's not Reformer. I don't think Reformer is my passion, so it doesn't bother me. I think there are people that it bothers, but I mean, it's all under the same realm, right? Like same concept, moving machine, but
That's
serving the platter.
yeah.
At the end of the day, you're just
serving
serving
the
the
platter.
platter.
Yeah, no, you could keep calling it Pilates.
Okay, fair. When you open up your studio, though, I'm going to bring a bunch of my boys because there's this perception that men have that, like, Pilates is easy.
Yeah.
And it's the dumbest perception of all time. I started going to Pilates, like, 2 years ago, and I had that perception when I first started. Like, oh, this is going to be easy. Mm-hmm. And then my first class, I got violently humbled, and I was like, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I've been going for 2 years ever since. Pilates is the best workout for my core ever. I've never felt better, the whole nine. But with that, when I tell people I'm going to Pilates, they're like, "Oh, you go to Pilates?" And I'm like, "Brother, this is not like this is not yoga. This is not," and that's no shame to yoga, but like Pilates is really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just don't think guys think that. I think they just think it's some like easy walk in the park type shit.
Yeah, I think they think it's stretching and like easy, and like if you use weights, you're using like 1 pound, 2 pound weights. So I think they're like, oh, it's not hard. But no, every guy that has ever taken a class that I've taught, like they are struggling the whole time. They leave and they're like, what the hell? Like they're shaking. And like with guys too, sometimes I'll be like, okay, you can go on the heavier spring. And then they're like, what the fuck? No, I cannot. But yeah, no, I like when I was teaching Reformer, I pitched to someone I was working for and was like, I want to teach like guys only class because I'm very big into like weightlifting and stuff too. So my Reformer classes that I taught, which is why my studio is going to be more like this, isn't like breathe in, breathe out, yoga, whatever. Like you're going to feel like you hit the gym afterwards because I teach from more of like a weightlifting cardio stance. And so I always wanted to teach guys because I wanted to be able to do more of the heavy stuff. I love arms on the reformer, and a lot of people hate it because it gets heavy when you do arms. But yeah, I want every single guy to come to the studio. I want to do a guys only class. Like, let's humble them all. And yeah, when I was training to get my certification, I had to do like 40 hours, I think it was, of Pilates. So I was just doing Pilates. I wasn't doing weights. And so there were areas that I felt like I lost muscle because I'm not doing the weights. But my core, I have never had abs like I did when I was doing that 40 hours because my core was just on all the time. And I had a lot of people be like, oh my God, like you look ripped today. And I'm like, thanks. It's the Pilates. Yeah.
The shake that you get from doing pulses in Pilates, like I'll look down at my leg and I'll get mad at myself.
Yeah.
I'll be like, you have literal relatives that fought in like World War I in Vietnam, and you can't even pulse in a deep lunge.
Right?
I know. It's like,
you're like, come on, like get back.
Fighting for my life. But it's good. So implement some of those like small ups and downs in your class because those are great.
Yeah, pulsing gets you every single time. You got to do the pulsing and then like, okay, now we're going back to the floor.
Oh yeah.
And then they throw a static in there.
Yeah. And like, okay, now we're holding, and everyone just looks at you like they want to kill you. And I'm like, give it a week and you're gonna be really happy.
Your ass is gonna be like,
you're gonna go from down here up here. It's gonna be great. Everyone's gonna want you. It's great.
Yeah, this isn't even an ad for Pilates. This is just that people need to go check it out.
I know. Seriously, when guys start showing up at classes, they can thank us.
I will say though, it is the worst part about it as a guy is like when I go to a random Pilates class where I've never been there before, I always like it's hard to know where to look, right? Because you're always going to be the only dude in the class. And so
everyone's
I'm like,
oh my God, he's looking at me.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want, if we're doing like squats and I'm, there's obviously somebody in front of me. I'm like, I don't want them thinking I'm like looking at their butt or something. I'm not. And I'm like, I'm just trying to work on my form, make sure I'm doing it right, whatever. But then like, I will say it is always the, once they realize, because I've now probably been to, I don't know, I think close to like 150 classes, something along those lines. Yeah. So like, I know what I'm doing. And so whenever an instructor is like, and we got Mark doing a great job over there, I'm like, let's fucking go. Like, I'm not the guy who's
got the shout out.
Yeah, I'm not the weirdo here who's coming here to check out chicks. I'm here to get a good workout in. Okay, come on now.
Well, definitely. Like, I mean, I guess you could call it like a stigma about like guys doing Pilates, because even like guys will walk in the studio and you're like, oh great, like here we go, like they're gonna suck or they're gonna, like, I mean, even as a instructor I would do it like reverse, or like, oh the guy's coming because I'm teaching or whatever, like, it's like that's what you think. And I feel like there's definitely stigma around it, like from the other side too, like, and that's not the case. Like, you're killing it at Pilates, I guess.
Gotta do it.
I'm making it worse for everybody because I was getting a smoothie the other day after doing Pilates, and one of the guys was like, whoa, you're shaking, you must have really like got a good workout in. And I was like, oh, Pilates. I was like, plus really hot girls, if you ever are looking. And he was like, sick, okay.
I mean, why not? Guys are going to the wrong workouts. Like, if you want to meet a chick, go to Pilates. Like,
absolutely.
That's where they're at. You're not going to find them at like 24-hour fitness.
Crunch.
Like,
you might.
You might. But there's more at Pilates.
Yeah.
I do have guy friends all the time. They're like, do you ever like talk to the girls there? And I'm like, no. Like, I'm like,
you're not like a creep.
Yeah, I'm like, I want them to feel comfortable to go back to that class. I don't want them to be like, hey, that one fucking weirdo keeps going to that class. Like, I'm never going to that one again.
There's a class pass review. Like, everything was great except for the guy in the corner that kept talking.
You are in the corner too.
Yeah, but I did have a tragic experience not too long ago. You weren't at this class. I went by myself, but I don't wear my contacts or my glasses when I'm doing Pilates.
Okay.
And so I can't really see super well. And so I see this person in front of me like waving, and I'm like, oh, I must know them. So I wave back. And then the girl behind me, like, I can like in my peripheral vision, like see her waving, and then she walks past me to go say hello. And I'm like, oh my God. I just waved to a random ass human who definitely is like, who the hell is this guy? Why was he waving back at me? And I was like, all right, I might need to wait a week or two before I go back to that class.
Was that the beginning or the end of the class?
The beginning. It was tragic.
You had 50 minutes to write.
It was tragic.
To think about it. Yeah, that's the worst. Worst when you think someone's waving, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it was a tough experience. I had another time I went to a Pilates studio. First 5 seconds of class, glass water bottle immediately fell over and shattered, and I was like, "Wow, this is so embarrassing." Like,
you want me to raise you one on embarrassing Pilates stories?
Let's hear it.
How about doing a laxative tea and it not working until you're strapped in, doing inner thighs?
No.
How about
Did you
that,
shit
Mark?
yourself?
No, I made it to the bathroom, but I just want the panic of having to get yourself out and then just puckered running
in the
across
middle of
studio.
class. You're like,
in like a beachy little studio where the door is like next to another reformer, and
Oh,
you just have to be like,
no.
excuse me, you know? Yeah, that's embarrassing. Not breaking your water bottle.
You almost had
Yeah.
a bridesmaid experience.
Yes, as close.
that would have
as
been
you
the worst
possibly
position
could.
for it to
Just
be
inner thighs.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden engaged. I was like, well, there's the smooth move tea kicking in.
Listen, we're trying to go. We want the podcast to go viral at some point. If you shit yourself at a Pilates class, Anna, that would be the
I think that'll
greatest
do
way
it, yeah.
to
Oh,
get the
that'll do
Pilates
it?
to get the podcast
Maybe.
to go viral. Yeah.
I'll take one for the team.
You can
Yeah.
do it at my studio. I'll allow it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, cleaning
get
crew on
banned?
deck. Yeah.
We'll have you wear
if it goes viral, it's fine.
It's all for the plot.
yeah.
branded T-shirt of your like the podcast name right on it, and then your gym right in the background, so everybody can see how beautifully aesthetic it is.
Yep,
And
perfect.
then the next it cuts to Anna shitting herself, and the next cut is like the incredible amount of people you have to clean up all of that.
I feel like
And
I'm
the
doing
fun-
the heavy lifting here. I feel like you two are really like. I feel like I'm being
We're
thrown
like
under
just
the bus.
facilitating it. You're just gonna execute.
If Ellen DeGeneres was still around, I'd be on her talk show,
Yeah.
and then I would go viral.
Fair,
Yeah,
fair,
for sure.
fair.
But she's not, so alas, we have to think of another plan, like
Yeah.
talent.
So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, we'll get
Anyway.
past shitting yourself at Pilates.
Yeah.
We'll get into, so Kendall, when you like starting your gym, everything like that, getting into real estate, all of that, was that like what you've always wanted to do? What was kind of like how did all of that come to be?
Yeah, I mean, real estate, like, from as long as I can remember, like, was kind of what I wanted to do. I didn't really want to go to college. I just wanted to do something in housing. I did go to college for like 2 semesters and did interior design. Was my original thing. I would do interior design and real estate, kind of put them together. Hated going to school for it. COVID happened and I kind of dropped out. And then I got my real estate license. But yeah, for as long as I can remember, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to do something in that industry. I did dance growing up, so it was always fit. I didn't know I was going to open a fitness studio. Didn't even know I was going to get certified to teach fitness. But yeah, I mean, it all kind of aligned eventually. Like from, high school was when I kind of got into thinking about real estate, interior design, whatnot. So, yeah.
What do you think are some misconceptions when it comes to real estate as a career? Because I feel like Selling Sunset kind of sold us or pitched us this image or this,
sure.
idea of what it is, like looking hot, show up, shake hands. You just made a $250,000 bonus or commission.
Totally.
So what are some misconceptions
Yeah,
that you've run across?
I'm sure like most people know majority of the shows are like no, I don't want to say fake. They do real estate, I'm sure, but like they definitely embellish it. And when you watch it, it's like, it's so glamorous. You drive a nice car, you go to parties, you go to $10 million homes, and somehow you make $1 million a year. And like, even I starting out in real estate, there's so many things I didn't know. Like I didn't know it was going to be that hard to even get a listing or to get a buyer, to get whatever. Like I kind of thought, you get your license and somehow it comes to you. I didn't know, I didn't know from point A to point B, like how you got there. And I was interested in it. And the shows like definitely show that. And if you aren't interested in real estate, then like you definitely think it's like a glamorous world. And it's not. Like my first like couple weeks, like I was out door knocking. If you want to be like self-conscious or like whatever, go door knocking, because people will slam the door in your face. Cold calling, you just, I called someone and they like literally just woke up and was like wanting me to fuck off because I woke them up. It's not glamorous whatsoever. Definitely major misconception. People don't just come to you. You don't just get handed $20 million listings. Like, I mean, you could go years without ever making $1. And it is really easy, though, in real estate. Like, the stuff that they do, it's really easy to fake it. There's a real estate event every single week. There's open houses every single week. There's things for just realtors to go to. You can go to a $20 million house, make a video. You can go to an event. You can get a free drink. If that's what you want to do, then, like, it's easy to pretend like you're busy in real estate and pretend you're doing crazy stuff and making a bunch of money. But, like, actually making the money takes a lot of work, and I'm even struggling with it right now, like trying to like sit down and focus on doing like the hard stuff, the door knocking, the cold calls. Like it's not fun stuff. Like I'm really in my head about it too. Like I'm like, oh my God, I have to call these people that I don't know and try to sell them on something. Like that sounds like my biggest nightmare, because if someone did it to me, I would be like, absolutely hang up. I'm not even going to answer the door. I'm going to check my ring and see that I don't know you, and I'm not going to answer. I'm going to pretend like I'm not home. But yeah, I think a lot of people just think real estate's easy. and it's not. And then everyone just hates realtors too. You bring up that you're a realtor and it's like conversation over. Like, sorry, my phone's ringing. I gotta go. Like, yeah. And I get it. I mean, we're annoying, 100%. It's annoying. And Well,
you brought up getting from point A to point B, right? And I think what's interesting about that is like life glamorizes point B, right? Like when you're at the point of success. If you start your own business and it's very successful, people glamorize B, right?
Yeah.
If you're in real estate and you're super successful with it, people glamorize B. I'm there. I've made it. I'm driving the nice car. I'm getting the big listings. I'm getting these big jobs. I'm there. Oh, my business is really successful. I'm there. And people glamorize that so much. And it's like at the end of the day, the getting from that point A, the idea point of things, to getting to the B, the success of it, is really the entire journey of it, right?
For sure.
And so even like you starting your own gym right now, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, point A is the idea. I have this idea. This is this thing I want to do. Everything else that you've had to do since then, which is a lot of like, and I don't want to speak for you, but I would assume it's a lot of like, hey, I don't really know where to begin, but I'm literally going to start Googling shit and just asking a ton of questions. And then I'm going to ask a few dumb questions, but eventually I'm going to figure out kind of like, okay, here's the next thing I need to do. And then I need to talk to this person. I got to figure out the next thing to do. And it's like you figure all of that out and then you eventually start the business. And then once it starts becoming successful, that's when you finally made it to B. And B is like where you actually enjoy the success that you've had, but all of that comes from that journey from point A to point B.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, sometimes it's hard where you're like in the midst of it and everything feels like you have no clue what you're doing. 'Cause, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I know what I'm doing, like in anything I'm doing. And a lot of people probably don't either. They're faking it. But even the people that are at point B, like they started somewhere. It's not like someone just like got into real estate, got into fitness, opened a business and like was an automatic success, like immediately. Someone started somewhere. And so that's kind of like when I'm like in the depths or like in the trenches being like, what am I doing right now? Why am I making this more complicated than it needs to be? Why didn't I just go get like a 9-to-5 and like simplify my life? It's like everyone started somewhere, you know, the person that's doing 100 billion in sales in real estate this year, they probably did, you know, nothing their first year or two. And like, I mean, I'm pretty young to do it too. So I'm trying to be like easy on myself, but you know, there's a lot of things to compare yourself to also, especially real estate, because you see a different post from someone every single week saying just sold, just listed, I did 20 million, I did this, I did that. And so it's so easy to compare yourself, and in everything, not just real estate, but I mean, that's a job especially where everyone wants to like big dick each other.
I was about to say it's a lot of bragging where you don't see that involved with like other people closing deals. Like, can you imagine us being like, oh, just signed, you know, this brand collab at 20,000? Like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
But with
it's
real estate,
so much
you're
bragging.
posting, you know, 1.5.
Well, and that's how you get clients by talking about the success that you've had. And so that's why you're marketing yourself. You literally are like just selling yourself. But yeah, everyone's talking about what they're doing and what they're not doing, you know, like what I said earlier, like you can go to the fancy house and take a video and pretend. Like you see people post that and you're like, shit, this person's off at this $10 million listing. I mean, half of it is, you know, faking it till you make it too. But yeah, it's a hard industry to like sit back and feel like you're like doing okay when you see other people doing so many other things. But yeah, I mean, everyone started somewhere. You got to start somewhere.
I think that's literally just the biggest microcosm of life, right? Like you go on Instagram and you see people posting, you know, oh, I'm here, I'm in this place. I'm like, I saw somebody the other day, like post a private jet, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, dude, I know that is a set from Peer Space. Like I know that person rented that location. That's not actually a jet. That jet's not leaving the ground. That's literally a studio set. And that's what they did. But it's like, to the person who doesn't know that, they see that and they're like, damn, this person's so successful.
Killing it.
I got to get on that level. And I think there's so much where when you're comparing yourself to other people in life, you are going to set yourself up to be so just depressed with it, because you're always going to look at what somebody's going to post and be like, damn, like how did they make that happen, right? But it's like, if you just focus on yourself, if you focus on what you're doing, you're going to figure out what you need to do, but you're never going to get anywhere further by comparing yourself to everybody else and whatnot, because you're assuming so many different things. You're assuming that's actually their business. You're assuming that's actually something, you know, if it's a car or a jet or a nice watch or clothes or whatever, you're assuming they own these things, when in reality, a lot of these things are rented. A lot of these things are faked. A lot of these things are bullshit. So it's like, instead of focusing on those people, fuck it. Focus on yourself and keep working on what you're doing, and you're going to get to the point of actual success. And my guess is when you actually get to that point, you probably won't even be the one posting all the other shit, because you're going to be like, no, I don't need to. I don't need, who do I need to prove myself to?
Yeah, especially if you're proving it to yourself, then like, I mean, if you want to prove to everyone else, then that's when you start posting this and posting that, and oh, I just bought this, oh, I just went on this vacation. But if it's like for yourself, like genuinely deep, like for yourself, that's when, yeah, you don't care. It's like, I'm going to go on this vacation and not post a single thing. Am I on a 150-foot yacht? Yeah, but no one's going to know, because you're just, enjoying life and happy that you did it for yourself.
I feel like everybody has things in their past that like cause a lot of shame and guilt, or like, this is my rock bottom. But I think if I were to have hired a photographer to shoot me at a Pure Space private jet set, that would be like you've got to just move countries.
Yeah.
So please,
you just got to give up.
That's
like,
so bad. Can you imagine being like, so meet me downtown LA for this set, and it's a fucking airplane. That's so bad. That's the shame. I couldn't sleep at night.
I know. And I don't think the set's that good.
No.
Like, you can tell really tell. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can tell.
Or and for people who don't know, you can literally spend like $100 at Burbank Airport to fly to Vegas on a private jet
Jet suite.
It's a jet suite that you are sharing with other people and things like that. But yeah, congratulations, it's a fucking 35-minute flight, so it's cheap to do.
Yeah.
And like, you can do that and make it look like you're on a private jet. A lot of it's a facade. A lot of it's bullshit. People just got to wake up to it and understand that is what social media is for the most part, and understand that. And then instead, just focus on yourself. And when you do that, you're going to end up 100 times happier just focusing on you, and when you actually post content, it's really authentic, and it's not like, some facade bullshit. And when you live that way, I think you're actually going to be genuinely happy versus the people who are always trying to get their next flex off.
Yeah. Well, and you're never going to make it or like feel like you made the success you wanted if you're constantly trying to prove something to someone else, because there's always gonna be another level and another level that you have to get to. So
you mentioned being young. Have you run into any issues in real estate or any other aspects of your career where your age has been an issue?
Yeah, I mean, so starting out in real estate, before I had my license, anyone that's ever done the real estate test, the test does not teach you anything about real estate. You basically, if you're going to take your test, just memorize everything and then move on. So when I knew that, and I wanted to start working at a place, like shadowing someone, anything. So I reached out to all the top realtors in my area, and I got a few responses, got a few interviews. Literally, I didn't want to be paid. I just wanted, I will do your paperwork. I just want to see what you do day to day, follow you around a little bit. That's all I want. So I went to a few interviews, and each of them said well, you're young getting into real estate. No one's going to take you seriously. So you need someone like me behind you so that they would take you seriously. You need some of my experience and whatnot. And I remember one of them being like, well, how old are you? And I was like, oh, I'm 23. And they're like, oh, I would have said 19. You seem super young. You seem super inexperienced, whatever. And I'm like, but I am. But being young in real estate, I get it. I don't have 10 years of experience behind my belt, but same thing. You got to start somewhere. But I now can keep up with the time. Someone who's 75 is doing real estate, what are they going to do to market your house? Post a TikTok? They probably don't even know how to answer the phone. Oh. So but it's
phones back then, I will say.
But it's I mean,
dial phone.
I know.
Yeah, right. Am I going to submit my offer through a fax machine? But yeah, I got that multiple times, and it definitely was a little bit discouraging for a little while. And I didn't have my license, so I wasn't actually trying to do real estate. So I took a step back and was like, okay, well, no one's going to let me shadow them. And I got my break, and I found a team, and we're all everyone's 40 and younger. So I have a really great team behind me now that loves that we're young, and we have a really great, mindset behind it. But yeah, I mean, there's so many people that even clients, not even just other realtors, that are oh, you're young. Clients sometimes are oh, well, you don't have that much experience, or you're young, or you're whatever. And it's yeah, but that means I can put all my time and effort into you. You're my someone that's doing 100 billion this year. You think they're going to spend 24/7 thinking about you, trying to get you what you want? No, they're going to have some random person do it for them, and just sign the check at the end of the day. So, I mean, yeah, that in real estate, that has been a big thing. I literally just had a conversation with one of my people on my team about how like it like kind of stresses me out sometimes that I don't feel I'm young and I'm dealing with people's biggest purchase in their life, but that should not be a factor in, you know, being someone's realtor, being someone's, you know, employee, employer, whatnot. So starting a business. Yeah.
I think age prejudice is just real across the board. And like
100%.
when we have girls come on, they're insecure or they like to hide how old they are. And that's in a completely different industry. That's like modeling, singing, show business, things like that. And I feel like either way you're running into you're too young, you're too old. So then what age do you need me to be so that you can trust me and hire me?
Yeah. And it's like, how about you get to know me and to know my personality? Maybe I'm whatever age, but I'm way more mature than that. Or and it's like, I don't see the number as like determining who I am as a person. Like if you would spend more than 5 minutes just sitting here and like looking me up and down and deciding that, then like maybe you would know that I'm way more equipped to handle this than maybe someone else on your team that is whatever age or whatever experience, you know, like, yeah. So
we have this crazy narrative in life that at some point in life, your brain like clicks on and it's like, oh, I'm there, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm mature, I'm smart, I have so much knowledge, all this. It's like, dude, I meet people every day that are 40, 50, 60, 35, whatever, that are dumb as shit. So to be fair, you know, when people are like, oh, this person's 30 some years old, they must be really mature. I'm like, in what fucking world?
Yeah.
I've met,
You wish.
wait, so you're actually 23, right?
Yeah.
You're 23, you're mature as fuck.
You seem so much older to me. If I'm being honest.
And it's like, and one of my buddies lives across the street. He's 22. He's brilliant. Like one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. He's 22 years old, right? So it's like, at the end of the day, age doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't mean that sure, you can say you don't have a ton of life experience as somebody who's 40 or 50 or 60 or whatever, but you also have a fresh perspective that they don't have. And so I think we have to think about our age as more of like a weapon positively for us, right? Of like, okay, if I am younger, then cool. I'm not as jaded by life yet. I have more of a fresh perspective. I'm more likely to say fuck it and go after something that somebody who's older might not, because they're going to have more of a timid approach, right? And so I think there's like different ways that you can think about your age to use it as an advantage. And I think so many times people, again, either try to use it against you, or sometimes we even use it against ourselves. Like, oh, it's too late for me to try that. I'm too old to do that. Or I'm too young to try this. And it's like, dude, at the end of the day, you can do anything that you set your mind to. You just have to go and do it. And first step is just believing in yourself. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of people is, again, we just put up these arbitrary walls of like, you know, or artificial walls that we put up of like, oh, well, I can't do that because there's this thing stopping me. It's like, no, there's nothing stopping you. You can do whatever.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you know, people get older and they're like, age is just a number, but like any age you are, it really is just a number. Like, I don't know what, you know, why it would stop you from things, but people do have like such a perception in their mind about it. But I mean, for me, like right now doing what I'm doing, like sometimes I stop myself and I'm like, well, I'm young, so it's fine if things don't work out for me, which is also not the greatest mindset, because it's like, no, I need to not use that as like to handicap myself even. But I do have the time right now. And like I have time to make something work. If real estate doesn't work out this year, then I have millions of years left, you know, to make it work out. If the fitness studio doesn't work out, you know, I have years to figure it out. And that was another reason why I even started it. Like I didn't have any real plan going into opening a business. I still am like figuring it out as I go. But it was like, if not now, then when? Like, what am I going to do? Wait till I'm 40 and married and kids and whatnot and try to start it? Why would I not do it now when I have time and energy to start something?
I still think it can happen at 40 though, because
Totally,
you're gonna live
100%.
those years anyways.
100%.
And you think about it, it's like I hear so many people justify it with, you know, why now? I don't want to go back to school. It's 5. You're going to be alive for those 5 years anyways. Why not learn and study and pursue this thing that makes you so happy to be here?
Yeah, and there's no like age that you have to stop like living your dreams. You know, if that comes to you when you're 65 and you go after it, then like do it. But you know, like in the moment, just like go for it. You know, why would you not? If you have the opportunity to do something at whatever age, if you're 23, if you're older, whatnot, younger, just like do it. You know, there's no time like the present.
I already am planning for completely pivoting my life in my 50s, because I want my second half of my life to have some of that newness to it. And I feel like all the things that bring me happiness now is that journey from point A to point B. And I don't want to have something so solid that there isn't any of that newness involved, especially for, I don't know, I don't want it to be retiring and then nothing is exciting or fresh anymore. So I'm already planning mentally for all of the things that I'm doing now, setting me up so that I can easily invest and pursue something safely, you know, financially, so that I can have a second half of my life that's fun.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think like we get like stuck in our ways. Like even I'll see like my parents, I mean, they go and travel and do whatnot, but sometimes it's like, oh, they, you know, my dad goes to work, my mom does her things, whatnot. It's like, spend the money. Like, what are you saving it for? Like, I mean, I'll take it, you know, someday, but like, you know, what are you saving it for? You worked so hard. Why not go do the things you want to do? Go buy the thing you want to buy. Like, obviously don't like blow everything and like get bankrupt, but you know,
be a little selfish and
you're allowed
to.
Yeah. Why would you get stuck in your ways of like working so hard and whatever if it's for nothing, you know? So yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean, we again, I think there's so much pressure to go by what society's viewpoint of success is. It's like you go to high school, you go to college, you get a job, you work for that company or a series of companies for the next 40 years, and then you retire and you live an old folks life until you die. And like that is what the majority of people is like, that's happiness, right? And it's like, but somebody else's version of happiness can be drastically different than that. You dropped out of college, right? And it's like, I'm sure there were some people that when you did that, they were like, that's crazy. I can't believe you did that, yada, yada, yada. It's like, okay, we all use, you know, Instagram. Instagram was created by somebody that dropped out of college. You know what I mean? It's like, or Facebook, whatever it was. Mark Zuckerberg, right? He's the one who dropped out.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
all I know is there's an immense amount of judgment surrounding
college
people
or no
not
college,
going to college or going to college, and it's kind of messed up because some of the most brilliant people I've ever met never went to college. They went straight into the career that they knew was their passion, what they were meant to be doing.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I never had like a passion to go to college. You know, some people are like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to like Boulder and like, you know, SCO Buffs or whatever, like go to football games, tailgate. Like I never had that passion. Like I never wanted to buy school colors, live in a dorm and whatnot. And I did go for a little while. I went to Cal State Long Beach, which was super local. I lived at home. And when I told people that I was going to Long Beach, they were super judgmental. Like, even though it's a great school, like I know so many like really successful people that went there, people from out of state want to go there. But because I didn't go away or like lived at home, people were super like, oh, could you not get into other places? Or like, oh, I thought you were smarter than that. Or I thought you were going to do more than that. And I was like, why? And it was always just this like judgment. I remember someone was like, oh, well, you're going to live in a dorm and join like a sorority at least, right? And I was like, no, because I don't want to do the college thing. I'm going to take my classes and leave. And they were like, oh, you're really like, you know, you have to do it. You have to go do that. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't. And it was just like, for what? Who says I have to go do that?
I think a lot of that is projection though, because I know a lot of people think that those days of being in Greek life were the best years of their lives. And they took it for granted at the time. And then they look back and they're like, those were the best 4 years of my life. So I think a lot of that, of what you're talking about, is just projection of like, they kind of peaked in college and everything kind of went down after that.
For sure.
So like, why wouldn't you give yourself that? But that isn't the life that you see for yourself. And that's fine.
Well, and if you just say that college was the 4 best years of your life, like, bro, what the fuck?
Oh, I hear
like
you have no idea how many times
I know, but that's crazy. Like if college was truly the best years of your life,
some of the worst for me.
You got to switch up whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
like
try something new.
Every year should progressively get better than the previous year because you should be reflecting on the past year, learning from it. And that doesn't mean you're not going to have like, you know, negative moments in the next year, but you should always be continuing to grow yourself, evolve yourself, and life should continue to get better and better and better. And again, there's going to be different curveballs that life throws at you. But yeah, I'm 32. I graduated college, whatever it was, 11 years ago.
Oh, I know.
Wow, that's tough to say out loud, but when you say that, but it's like, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, my best 4 years of my life was 11 years ago. Bro, what? My life has progressively
What did you do the last 11 years?
Yeah.
But it also kind of makes you seem incredibly small-minded because what college represents, they're not saying that the classes were the best 4 years of their life. They're not saying the education and the learning. It's the guaranteed parties It's the guaranteed friends. It's the football games. It's the alcohol,
It's
the
the
drinking.
chicks,
It's
bro.
the chick. It's the partying.
No responsibilities.
And that's really
like,
lame.
Yeah.
Like that would be a huge turn off for me if it was like, that was the best 4 years of my life. You'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to get the check.
Yeah.
And I'm out.
Seriously. I know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, people were super just judgy about it. And I feel like people still, there's a weird like conception about it. Like, I think some people thrive in college. I think some people maybe need it. Like they like the structure of stuff, but then there's other people that it just doesn't work or isn't necessarily needed. Like, why did I have to go sit in a history 101 class to get to do whatever I want to do? You know, like it's like, that is not helpful for my career. Yeah. And I can get where I need to be. I've learned so much from hands-on experience. I went into corporate when I graduated high school. And I learned a million things. I did marketing. I had no marketing experience besides just like Instagram. I did marketing for 5 years, and that's probably better than any college class I could have ever done. I got thrown into it. So I don't know why that's the stigma around it, but it is.
I think truly the best decisions in life tend to be decisions that other people judge the shit out of you for.
For
right?
sure.
It's like when I got into photography years ago, I remember like one of my friends was like, you know, but I mean, do you really think you're going to be able to do this like full time? Like, do you really think you're going to be able to make a career out of this? Like, your photos kind of look like senior photos, right? And I was like, yeah, motherfucker, I just fucking started, so no shit, my photos look like that. Like, no offense, but I could actually use some support here. And instead it was like 6 months later, I was making six figures from photography. So it's like, okay, so yeah, 6 months ago, I didn't know what I was doing. 6 months later, I know what I'm doing. And then
I have to learn somewhere.
Yeah, 6 months after that, I'm going to know even more than what I know now. And so it's one of those things where people are always going to judge you no matter what you do. And you got to just believe in yourself. When I got into crypto in 2017, I was embarrassed to talk about it. I was embarrassed to be like, oh, I'm into crypto, whatever. Because I was like, I don't want people to judge me. What if they think I'm like a dumbass for doing that, whatever? It's like, oh, was I really a dumbass for buying Bitcoin at $7,000 when it's currently $102,000? Like, no, it really wasn't that dumb of me for me to do that. But I was worried about how other people were going to judge me for it, because they did, right? Like when I would say it, there was judgment there. And so it was like, you know, in life in general, people are going to judge the hell out of anything that you do. But if you have conviction on what you're doing and you have a thesis as to like why this is going to work out for you, just go and do it. Because again, people are always going to judge what they either don't believe they could do themselves or what they believe is too hard to like succeed at, right? And it's like, but if you have conviction in yourself of, I know I can do this and here's why, then go for it, because there's literally nothing stopping you and nothing stopping them outside of themselves. And so, again, if you have that belief and that conviction, like, you're going to do incredibly successful in life.
Yeah. I mean, I think easier said than done. It's like, I'm like, oh, people talking or judging about whatever. It doesn't bother me because I know what I want, but easier said than done, because it's still, you know, there's still that little voice in the back of your head being like, shit, am I making the right decision? Should I do this? Like, I don't know. Like, and it takes a lot to get over. I mean, I'd be lying if I said that there aren't days where I'm like, oh my God, like, why am I doing this? People are judging me. People are thinking about me. Like, and the reality is, like, people are probably not thinking about you. Like,
about themselves.
Yeah, everyone thinks about themselves way more than they think about anyone else. Like, no one's thinking about you.
You're also not obligated to get it right. Like, I think a lot of us think like, okay, this is going to be a mistake. Well, so what if it is? Because all of the best thing, it sounds so cliche, all the best things in my life came after some of the worst things. And it felt very meant to be in that sense. So you're allowed to make a mistake, because maybe the thing that you're meant for, it'll lead to.
Yeah, for sure.
And your friends are haters then. Like, it's such a bummer when you find out that your partner or your friends are your biggest hater.
And they're like wanting your downfall.
They want your downfall. They expect your downfall. It's like, well, then you don't believe in me very much if you're expecting me to fail.
Yeah. And sometimes like your friends like not believing in you and stuff, like, it sucks, but then you're like, okay, fine, well, I didn't need you then anyways. Like, thank you for showing me your true colors. Yeah, thanks for showing your true colors, because my life will be so much better without you like writing on, like, bringing me down basically. So yeah, I mean, people are gonna think what they want, but at the end of the day, like, they're probably not really thinking about you. The person that like judged you for doing X, Y, Z probably didn't go home and think to themselves like, dang, I'm really going to think about Kendall not doing this. Yeah, like, they're probably not. They probably went home and thought about themselves and like scrolled their own Instagram or whatnot for an hour. And yeah.
And who cares if they're judging you?
Yeah.
And I mean, again, and like you mentioned, it's like they're showing their true colors. Adjust your inner circle then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like once somebody shows me that they, aren't going to be like a supporter, I'm like, dude, why do I need you in my life? Whether it's a friendship, whether it's a relationship, somebody I'm working with, whatever. If you don't believe in me, like, why are you in my life? It doesn't really make a lot of sense because I want to surround myself with people that I believe in, right?
Yeah.
It's like, even today's the first time that we met, but like you've been telling me about your business and I've been excited to go. And then even when I was talking to Anna before the podcast, I was like, yeah, so she's opening up her business in January, like February, whatever it ends up being. And I'm excited to go check it out. She's going to crush it. It's like you want to surround yourself with people who believe in you. We have like our moms watch every single podcast episode that we put out. They're damn near the first people that watch and listen every single time. My uncle, when we were doing Thanksgiving, like we had a Thanksgiving Zoom, and my uncle was like, by the way, I had a question about one of your last podcast episodes. And I was like, and this is a Ford dealer in Texas who's spending his time listening to the podcast, right? And so it's like at the end of the day, you find out quickly who are the people that believe in you. And it's like, I pay so much attention to how people talk about or pay attention. Like when I'm talking about something I'm doing, how are they listening? Are they actively listening? Are they actively asking questions that show that they truly give a shit? Mm-hmm. And if you're not willing to do that, I'm not saying you have to be fascinated by everything that I'm doing in life, but show at least a little bit of interest in something that means a lot to me. And if you don't do that, then you're just not somebody I need in my life, because if somebody I care about is telling me about something that they're doing, I'm genuinely interested in it because I know how much they care about. So maybe it's not something that's perfectly up my alley or whatever, but I'm going to ask questions because, again, it's something they care about. But if people in your life aren't doing that, those are the people that you boot the fuck out, because those are people you'll never miss.
Yeah,
I went to coffee with one of the girls that we interviewed who's now become one of our good friends. Mm-hmm. And she was asking me about how Keen Fragrances, my business, is going. And I try to condense it. And I find myself being like, really, really good. And she's like, okay, and?
Yeah.
And she kept wanting me to elaborate. And I just kept going, oh my God, this is so weird that she wants to know more about a business that she has no interest in. And that's just because she wants to see her friends win the same way I want to see her win.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think a lot of times like we shorten things because a lot of people don't actually care when they ask about things. They want you to ask the question back, so they ask you. So I think it's just really natural to be like, oh, it's good, yeah, and move on. And everyone's like, okay, cool, and we all move on. But it's like, yeah, your true friends are gonna ask you, okay, no, but like, how's the construction going? How's the fragrance? How's the development going? How's photography? And like, that's the people that you want to keep around. And the people that don't care, like I think you said, like when people show you their true colors, like just believe them. I think that's the hardest part. You want to believe that people are good and you want to see the best in people, especially if they've been in your life forever, they're like family, whatnot. But sometimes people will show you that they're not a good person, and it's like you have to just believe it. You can't make people be what they aren't. Yeah.
This kind of plays into something I overheard you mentioning to him earlier about the let them theory. And I want you to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Just like let people show you just exactly who they are. Elaborate on it for me, please.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it like on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. People talk about it. It's so much easier said than done, as is like basically everything. It's so easy to just tell yourself like, oh, I can cut this person out. And then doing it though is a different thing. But I have been trying to like really focus on the let them theory, which is if someone shows you who they are, someone wants to do something, then just let them. We like tend to fight for people, I think, a lot, like relationships, friendships, whatnot, because we want to believe that they are different or that they can be different. And they're not. Like, why also would you want to be with someone or be friends with someone that you have to change to be who you want them to be, So I think that's kind of a lot of it. Like, I'm definitely guilty of it. Like, if someone doesn't text me back, I'm like sitting there like stressing about it. Like, okay, do I double text them? What do I say? Why do I want to talk to someone that's not going to text me back or take 17 days to text me back? We're all on our phones. You can text me back. If you don't want to text me back, then I don't need to talk to you, you know? And like, that's just a small scale, but same thing if I'm dating someone, but they want to have multiple options and whatnot and other girls, then have the other girls then. Because I don't want to be one of your options. Like, you can be who you want to be, but like not around me,
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think that plays into ego a lot. Like, I feel like we're all such control freaks because whatever people do around us, we think is a mirror to what we deserve or what we are. And so then whenever I've tried to control the outcome, it's because I want so badly for that person to reaffirm that I deserved to be chosen or that I was good enough or I deserve that text. And it really has nothing to do with them.
Yeah. Or you.
Or me.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's so easy to like sit there and like fight for someone. But yeah, I mean, why would I want to be with someone that I have to fight for? I mean, I'm sure in some circumstances, like maybe it works out that if you chase someone over and over again, maybe it'll work out. Maybe it'll be the love of your life. I don't know. But why would I want to be with someone that I have to like convince to like me?
The like listing all the reasons that you're wife material, your husband material, and like you deserve to be there and they'd be lucky to have you. I've been in that situation
for sure.
You're, like,
and it's easy.
yourself.
It's weirdly easy to like have to like, pitch
how
yourself.
Could you not want this? Like, I'm showing you how amazing.
And I'm like, how much time did I just spend trying to convince this person to like me when there's probably someone out there that would do it without a question asked, you know? And like, that's kind of, I guess, the like gist of it is like, if they're not going to fight for me or want me, then like, let them. I don't have to be everyone's cup of tea. That's fine. There's someone out there for me, or there's friends out there for me, or a business, company, whatever it is, whatever aspect of your life that's going to want me and it's going to fit in with my life. I don't need to like try to go out of my way and like force myself into some situation if it's not for me. And why would you want to be in that situation if it's not for you either?
I've talked to girlfriends. I've actually talked to guy friends too like this, but specifically a girlfriend recently who was telling me or explaining to me, she's like, I just don't know why he wouldn't like me when all of his exes were like this. And she would find herself like telling the guy why the exes were so shitty and then why she is so great. And I'm like, oh my God. So we're campaigning. We're doing the politician move where you're like, you know, so-and-so will do this to, you know, the prop, whatever. And it's like, wait, why are we doing this?
No.
Like, you shouldn't have to create a PowerPoint presentation about why they sucked and why they have bad taste and why you are the better option.
Yeah. Well, in a relationship, shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't. I mean, obviously you're going to put effort into a relationship and, you know, wake up every day choosing to be in a relationship, but it shouldn't be hard where you're like draining yourself trying to like fight for someone and prove that you're right. So like starting out that way on that note, like that's run. Like that's what, run, get out.
That's what my mom always tells me. She's like, you know, she's like one of her biggest pet peeves when people talk about, oh, relationships are so hard. Like you got to fight for things. You got to work through things, yada, yada, yada. My mom was like, you know, life is hard. Yeah, for sure. But the relationship should not be. If you have respect for each other, you have compassion for each other, empathy for each other, and love for each other, then you treat each other with enough respect to, when you have disagreements, to have an actual conversation about it and to come to a resolution versus a screaming match where both of you are cussing each other out and yada, yada, yada. It's like, that is not a healthy relationship. That is just two people who are assholes. You know what I mean? Like in a healthy relationship, yes, disagreement is normal, but again, you have a healthy conversation about it and you move forward from that. And so life in general is not easy, but the relationship that you're with, the people in your life, your friends, the people that you date, your family, everything like that, those should not be the difficult things. And if they are difficult, then you got to reassess why those people are in your life, because again, they shouldn't add to the stress. They should help with the stress, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way I always think about it. But
I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, even like the stuff I'm doing right now, I'm like, back of my mind, I'm like, no relationships. I'm not getting a relationship. It's going to like take away from it. But then I was talking to one of my friends and I was like, I mean, not that like I'm like ready to jump into a relationship tomorrow or anything, but it's like, if it's the right person, then all the stuff I'm doing is going to be 10 times more successful. It's not going to hurt my business. And if it does, then that's not the person, you know? So yeah, I mean, relationships are hard is not the right word. I think they take work and effort. Yeah. But they shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't bring you down, or like, it should make those days that are hard easier and like take something off, a weight off of you when things do feel that way.
I also feel like the effort can be redirected back to you, where it's like, okay, I'm putting a lot of effort into this because I want to be a good enough person. I want to be the best person I can be, or I don't like how I'm showing up in this conversation. What tools can I use to be a better person? Do I go to therapy? What books do I read? I need to have honest conversations.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that difficulty could just be on self-growth.
Yeah.
And I also feel like when I look at, I'm my most ambitious that I've ever been right now. And a lot of that is because I go home to somebody that just like has my back and they believe in me fully. And like, whenever I doubt myself, he and I have very much this belief, and we tell each other this all the time. I told him this yesterday. I was like, you can do literally anything you wanted. He's like, well, what if I wanted to be a rapper? I'm like, if you practiced, you could be a rapper. Like, I believe.
I'll be front row.
But I feel like that about all my friends. I believe there's not one girl in my life, one guy in my life that I'm not like, oh, you could literally run the country better than anyone is now. Like, you could do this. You could be famous. You could be whatever you wanted to be. But they redirect all of that energy back to me. And because of that, I've, in the same boat as you are, starting a bunch of new companies all at once, because I'm like, all that belief behind me has fueled me and given me that energy to do so.
Yeah. When you have good people in your court, you could do whatever you wanted. Support is everything. Like, you could be the smartest person ever and like have not a single person to help you, and you probably can't get as far as you like would want to because you don't have those people to support you, or you have shitty people behind you and you're really getting pulled back because you are not being lifted up, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I think too, it's like you notice then the effort that other people put out. Like, one of my good buddies, Sonny, who I work with a lot in like the crypto space and everything like that, he's now met Anna from, you know, obviously like they're two of my closest people in my life. And so they've now met each other and things like that. But one day Anna texted me and she was like, did you know that Sonny bought products from my body wash company? And I was like, no, like he didn't even tell me that he bought some. And she's like, yeah, not only did he buy some, he bought what, 3?
He bought 3, and then he also posted and tagged it on his Instagram.
God,
and
that.
like, people don't realize that, well, maybe I just didn't realize that when you post and tag something for a small business, it might seem so trivial to you, but to someone that's starting out and putting all the money that they have into something, that 2 seconds that it takes to take a picture and tag somebody could make my week when it comes to income.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I met his friend one time, it was such a reflection of Mark that that's the people he chooses. Yeah. And also that's a person that chooses Mark. But he supported me, and he didn't have to, and he didn't even know me. He didn't tell Mark. He didn't tell me. He didn't do it for credit. And it was just such a, it actually made me emotional. It was really sweet. Yeah. Now I'm like,
for sure.
I love you.
No, posting things and like just promoting, supporting people. I think there's like weird like ideas behind it, probably because so many people get paid to post things or are embarrassed about what they post, and they have to have everything look perfect and whatnot. But it's like, A, nobody gives a shit what your algorithm or whatnot looks like. And B, like, it could change things, especially for small businesses. If one person who has 20 followers, if those 20 people saw something and bought something, then that's a game changer. If one person posts and has 20,000, you know, that's a game changer too. But everything helps, especially when you're at a smaller scale of things. Like, word of mouth, any person that wants to support you and like put your name out there is a major game changer on any level. And yeah, for sure.
And that's why you got to just pay attention again to the effort that people are putting out. And, you know, when you're launching your business, right? It's like when the doors open, pay attention to the people who give a shit and who don't, you know? And it's like, and it's one of those things where like, there's some people where it just goes over their head, right? They're like, oh, I didn't realize I should have done that. The older I get, the more I'm like, man, I don't want the people that I like have to explain to them why they should be supportive. Like, you either naturally do it, and then those are the people that I want in my life, or you don't, and I just don't need you in my life. Because it's like, when I met my brother-in-law, this is a long ass time ago now, probably however many years ago, I would say, but I don't even know, probably like 13 years ago. But when I went out to eat the first time with my brother-in-law, he had been dating my sister for maybe 5-6 months, something like that. And I remember when we left that dinner, my sister was like, you know, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? And I was like, Jamie, if you don't fuck it up, you're going to marry that guy. And she was like, wait, why do you say that? Mind you, they'd been dating for 5 months, right? And I was like, because when I mentioned something going on with my life, he already knew about it, which meant that when you talked about it, he paid attention. And I was like, that's enough for me. Like, I know that's a good dude because he genuinely gives a shit when you speak. And there's so few people that actually give a shit when you speak in life and pay attention to the people that do. Now, they dated for 5 years after that, never broke up once during that time period, and they've been married ever since, right? Wow. And so married for 8 years now or 9 years, however long it's been, right? So again, it's like pay attention to the people who just go out of their way to actually pay attention to what you're talking about, to genuinely listen, to actually offer constructive, real help, not people who are always looking to knock you, people who are looking to doubt you, people who are looking to like, oh, that's great, let's move on to this. Like the people who genuinely support you, pay attention to that. And the people who don't naturally support you, or the people who are just kind of have that negative attitude, get them the fuck out. Like you so badly don't need those people in your life.
Yeah. And let's take it one step further. The people that show that love to the people that you love. That's huge for me, is that my boyfriend shows up for the people that are in my life, because you can't just love me. You have to, if you love me, you love everything that I love too. You love cats now. Like you love Mark. Deal with it.
There you go. Yep.
I mean, we talked about this literally earlier today or yesterday, whenever it was, but we were talking about, I was like, the podcast would be so much harder if I didn't like Anna's boyfriend. Because when I call Anna and they're together, or if I'm going down to San Diego, or if she's coming up to LA and Forrest is coming with her, I'm genuinely excited to see him, right? I'm excited. That's my buddy. I enjoy getting to know him. I enjoy spending time with him, everything like that. And so it's like there's genuine, appreciation for each other and everything like that. And there's also an appreciation for the role that we play in each other's life. I appreciate how well he treats Anna. He appreciates the, kind of like the respect and love that I have for Anna, right? And so it's like that just makes life so much easier. And so again, it's like pay attention to the people that you have in your life. It's so fucking important. And it sounds so cliche or whatever, but so many people don't do it. And they have all these people in their life that it's like, dude, you could get rid of like 15 of those people and you'd be good.
And not being afraid to edit too.
Yeah.
You can edit. For sure.
Reflecting on a regular basis is just so important, whether it's your job, your relationships, your friendships, whatever. Just because something was once good for you doesn't mean it's always going to maintain being good for you. And so you got to just pay attention to that and be okay with rolling with the waves of life. Some people were meant to be, a few chapters and things like that, and other people are meant to be here forever. But like, don't be afraid to just remove something that it's no longer healthy for you that once was. Just because it once was doesn't mean it needs to be moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, if something's not serving you, then like you don't need it. You don't need that in your life at all.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, I would totally hire you. I think you seem so wise beyond your years. I think you're going to do amazing things. And
I'll send you a resume.
No, you don't need to. I got everything I needed.
Perfect.
You're just sitting here, and I'm so excited to come to your studio. We're going to be at opening day.
Perfect.
It breaks my fucking brain that you're 23. Like
I know.
I forgot
almost feel
that.
Like you're lying.
Yeah, when you were like,
are you lying?
Psych, you guys. I'm actually 45. I take it all back.
Maybe not that old. Maybe not that old. But
when you said that, I was like, wait, is she saying at the time of that story that she's 23 or she? Yeah, I was like, I don't even.
I really
remember,
stumped you guys on that one.
No,
you seem 28.
Yeah, you do have 28-year-old energy.
28-year-old energy.
Yeah.
My like mindset's 28.
You just haven't figured out. Like I think there's a lot of times when I'm talking to friends of mine who are younger than me and things like that, I never want to be like the condescending older friend that's like, when you're my age, you'll understand. I don't want to be that person. There is a lot that you learn in life, in the whatever 9 years. Oh God, when we say that, we have 9 years on her. We are old.
Oh, we had a decade on someone that you introduced me to, and I was like, oh, I don't even know.
That's tough. I probably remember the day you were born. Anywho, but it's like when you it's like, yes, there is life experience that you have that somebody younger than you does not have, just as older people have life experience that we don't have, right? But at the same time, you have such a good perspective on things, and you have such belief in yourself, and that obviously goes to show how you've been raised and the belief that you have in yourself, and the way that you approach things is you're going to succeed in anything that you do because you have that mindset of, I'm going to figure it out, I'm going to make it happen. And that's such a hard mindset for a lot of people to have. Doesn't matter what their age is. That's just a hard mindset for a lot of people to have, because for whatever reason, life has kind of like kicked them in the teeth a little bit, and they just don't have that belief. But I mean, you do, and like, hats off to you for that, because I truly feel like that attitude is like 80% of making it in life. You know,
I mean, it's cliche, but it's like, what's meant for you won't pass you by. What's meant for you is going to happen for you. Like, obviously don't just sit around on your couch all day and wait for something to come to you. But if you go out there and you put your effort out there and you're a good person, I think it'll come back to you and it'll happen for you. There's no reason that it shouldn't. If you're a good person, you put your effort, you work hard, then it's going to work out for you.
Same with lessons. I feel like if you didn't learn the first time, that same lesson is going to keep circling back and it's going to hit you in the face. It's going to drown you, overcome you until you listen and pay attention. So don't be afraid to keep your eyes open and, do some reflection.
Totally.
Well, and you got to just at the end of the day, you have to believe in yourself that you're going to figure something out. I mean, I remember when I first started doing podcasting, I was so nervous to do video, even though I had a background in photography for so many years at that point. I was like, video's just so different. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'd have to, learning artificial lighting and how to set that up so that we all look good on camera and everything like that. Like, there's a lot here that people don't see, when they're just watching the podcast. But I was so nervous to figure that out. And then it's like you just start asking questions and YouTubing things and, and you ask a few questions that make you sound a little bit dumb. And it's like I realized, how when you're watching a movie, how they do the whole check, or the behind the scenes check, whatever. That's
action?
so that you, that whole action thing, whatever. Check.
So grab your wine, sir. You're freaking me out.
Whatever. Okay. The whole action thing. When they do that, it's to sync all the cameras to that word. So now everything is synced up to that, right? So when I first started, I was like, well, how do you sync the cameras to know when? Do I have to manually figure that out? And he was like, no, dude, you literally just press this, and this, boom, sync, and it just does it for you.
Sometimes you have to clap. I know you do that 1, 2, 3,
you can do
clap.
The clap.
Yeah.
That was my check.
Yeah, just check. Alligator.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, you're going to figure it out and you're going to ask a few questions where you look a little dumb and it is what it is. But if you don't ask the questions, that's truly the only time where you're actually dumb. If you ask good questions, you're going to learn from those, and the things that you're trying to figure out right now with your business, or the things that Anna's trying to figure out with Keen, or the things that we're trying to figure out with this podcast, we're brainstorming constantly. And it's like the ideas that we have right now and the problems that we have right now, a year from now, when we all reflect back, we're going to be like, dude, we have all the solutions now, but we had to go through that whole process previously of asking the question of how do I do this? And then you figure it out.
And then you can mentor and help somebody else that's in that position and show them a lot of grace and patience because you needed that.
Yeah. I mean, and also just fake it till you make it. Sometimes just pretending like you know what you're talking about, people will believe you. But yeah, I mean, even asking questions, starting out in everything, I've started everything, with no prior knowledge to it, but you always feel dumb asking questions and you're like, oh my God, I'm sorry, this is a stupid question. But it's I know people say there's no dumb questions. I'm sure there are some dumb questions, but if you're genuinely wanting to learn something and understand something and you go to someone that can help you, then you're not asking a dumb question because you're going to learn it. And then the next week you're going to be a professional at it. And then the next person you can teach too. So in that circumstance, there's no dumb questions. If you genuinely want to learn something and you want to figure it out on your own, then you can just ask the questions.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I mean, again, I would truly say there is no dumb question because the only dumb question is the one you don't ask.
Yeah.
If you ask a question and afterwards you're like, oh, that answer was kind of obvious. Okay, cool. At least now you know. Now you know. And there's so much power in knowledge, and it's changing our mindset on that of being afraid to ask things or figure things out, whatever. It's even Anna and I, who have been in the content world for however many years now, almost 10 years. Again, just aging ourselves.
I've been in it since 2017.
Yeah, wow, we're old as fuck. Anywho, but it's we can learn from people who are just getting started now, who are going about it in a different way than we're going about it. And so even the other day, she sent me this whole TikTok idea, and I'm like, yeah, my brain doesn't naturally just go to TikTok, but okay, cool. Let's try this thing out and let's do this. And so we shot these little videos earlier today. We'll try them out. Maybe they flop. Maybe they do incredible. Maybe it's the thing that leads to this podcast blowing up. You don't know unless you do it. And I think that's the biggest thing is get over your own self-judgment. Just fucking do it and figure it out.
Yeah. And most people aren't doing it too. So if you're the one doing it, even if it sucks, if you post a video and you think the video sucks, maybe it does, but someone else isn't posting the video. So you're going to be in front of them and the other person isn't. So just do it.
Yeah. This is the most inspirational ending to a podcast. I love it.
Oh my
if
gosh.
people listening to this aren't fired up, there's something wrong with them.
Yeah. I mean,
we're going to leave this and just go make $1 million after this. We're ready to go.
Run a mile.
Run a mile. Let's hop on the treadmill. I don't know what we're going to do, but yeah.
We're ready to take on the fucking world. I mean, going off to what you just said real quick, one of the biggest creator in the world right now, Mr. Beast, his first ever video that went viral, and he'd been trying for an incredibly long time. He was in like high school and trying to figure out how to make a video go viral, His first one was saying Logan Paul's name 100,000 times. And so he literally just sat there and said, Logan Paul, Logan Paul, Logan Paul, Logan Paul, Logan Paul. And then he had to like take breaks to drink water and to go to the bathroom and things like that. But he just kept going. Logan. And it was so dumb that it worked and it went viral. And now I think he puts more money into a single video on YouTube more than any other creator. And he's his videos do hundreds and hundreds of millions of views and things like that. And it all started from putting out a video where he said Logan Paul's name 100,000 times. So even the dumbest shit sometimes just works. And it's like, just try shit. And I'm sure he looks back on that and is like, what a cringe ass video. Yeah. But that cringe ass video allowed him to do what he's doing now. So the next time you're putting out something and you're like, this might look dumb. What if people judge me for it? Whatever. Fuck it. You probably will judge yourself 10 years from now, but you'll judge yourself from a successful standpoint. But that cringe video that you did, or that lame thing that you did, or whatever, that quote unquote lame thing that you did, led you to where you are now. So get over the judgment and just fucking do it.
I didn't know who he was.
Mr. Are you fucking serious?
I didn't know who this person was.
He's the biggest creator in the world.
I know. Forbes just listed him the highest paid YouTube creator.
What's it say his salary, or how much does he make a year?
It says 500 million, but it's not true. So he officially became a billionaire in June.
Jesus Christ.
At 26 years old.
My God.
Damn.
Making him the 8th youngest billionaire globally. And I didn't know who this is.
You know what? Kendall's got 3 years to get to that. She could get that.
I got time.
Work
There's
hard.
time. There's
Get
time.
on ClassPass, sister.
I know.
Listen, when
seriously.
Cage is as big as Solid Core, and we're like, hey, we had her on before she ever released her
that's
first
gonna feel
gym.
so cool.
Yeah.
There you go. I know.
we get
You better,
residuals?
you better do it. Yeah.
I know. Seriously, should we sign a contract or something?
Right now, we get 5%.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
We'll have one in every city.
There we go.
That's a verbal handshake. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There it
No,
is.
you're gonna have to replay this,
Thanks,
and then
Kendall.
we'll know.
Yeah, we'll
it's
send this.
true.
We'll cut this clip and send it to the lawyer.
Yeah,
Love
there we
it.
go.
Anywho, Kendall, we got to have you back on. This was great.
Yeah,
this
you're
is This is awesome.
Yay. Thanks for having me.
See, it wasn't scary at all.
No.
Nothing to be nervous about.
So.